everyone? It's been a long while since I posted a video on here, but I wanted to give you my thoughts on presidential candidate for Democratic Party in 2020, Andrew Yang. Now, I had heard a little bit about Andrew Yang, and originally I didn't really like his ideas much at all. I thought that it was his position that his freedom dividend, which I guess would give every person $1,000 a month, would be on top of whatever welfare benefits that the person's already receiving. I've never been a big supporter of a universal base income, and the only way I would ever support it is if it was something that would replace our current system. Because let's be honest, the current system we have in place as far as welfare is concerned in the United States is the worst possible system I could ever think of. Our current welfare system is horrible. It traps people into poverty. It allowed big box stores and fast food restaurants to basically hollow out our economy by hiring lots of part-time workers who would willingly work for minimum wage with no promotions, because if they got those promotions, they'd lose their welfare benefits. It's basically a system that makes people very content with working the lowest wage possible in some dead-end part-time job. It discourages people from seeking promotions, and that's perfect for corporate America to have a legion of people willing to work for the lowest possible pay with no interest whatsoever of advancing their salary or actually ever being paid a living wage. Our current welfare system in the United States is shameful and pathetic. So when I saw Andrew Yang on the Ben Shapiro show and listened to what he had to say, he did win me over a little bit in how he described how the freedom dividend would work. How he described it is once someone turned 18, they had the choice to opt in or opt out. If you opted in, you got $1,000 every month for the rest of your life, no matter what you did. At the same time, you also forfeited your right to collect any welfare benefits. Now, Andrew Yang wasn't exactly specific as to what kind of benefits were forfeited. I'm assuming that he didn't refer to Social Security or Medicare benefits, but instead he meant things like food stamps, housing assistance, temporary assistance to needy families, the WIC program, welfare benefits like that. Compared to our current status quo welfare program, that's a great change. No longer are people going to be forced to keep a low-paying job, forced to not seek promotion because they fear losing their welfare benefits. This way, the person will receive $1,000 a month that they can do whatever they want with, and it's not an impediment for them to make more money, to go to a higher paying job, to work more hours. And therefore, it's definitely a huge improvement over our current system. And it's a very simple improvement. So I'll give it credit for that. That being said, I still ultimately oppose universal basic income, and I do so on principle. If someone is going to be paid taxpayer money, I think it's fair to expect the taxpayers to receive something back. If we're going to be paying people money, why can't they contribute something to our country? That's why I personally would rather see something like a national jobs program. There are a lot of things, for example, I can think of in my city that the government could do to make things better. There are things that the government already does that I think could be done better if it had more staff. I would rather that money that would pay for a universal basic income to be used to hire more people working for the government who can actually do something to improve our societies. Now, some might argue that the Democrats promoting this Green New Deal are promoting exactly that sort of program, but I would disagree based on several reasons. For one, if you've read the Green New Deal, at least the one proposed by AOC, you will know that the Green New Deal is entirely ridiculous. For one, it sets strict quotas in place in order to get the United States carbon neutral as soon as possible. But a quota like this would contradict the purpose of a jobs program. If the purpose of the jobs program is to employ a lot of people, because automation and artificial intelligence is going to cause mass unemployment, then the existence of a quota becomes problematic. And the reason for that is, what if it's faster to reach the quota by using machines and artificial intelligence than it is to hire actual people? We need to have a concrete goal if we're going to have a jobs program. Either the program is supposed to help employ people to better society, or the program is supposed to be focused on solving global warming. If the program has different goals that can conflict with each other, then that's a problem. I don't even know if the Green Deal would be a very good jobs program whatsoever. In my view, a good jobs program would provide jobs where you could train people who are unskilled quickly to do a basic job that they could do successfully in order to help their community. I don't know exactly what would be entailed in making the United States carbon neutral and achieving the things that the Green New Deal sets out to achieve, but to the extent that it would require engineers, scientists, people with advanced degrees, those are the types of people that don't really need a jobs program. So to the extent that the Green New Deal is just focused on reducing climate change, it might once again contradict the purpose of a jobs program. And in addition to that, once again, if you read the Green New Deal, and I think Steven Crowder has a video where he just sits there and all he does is read the text of AOC's Green New Deal, you will see that it contains so much ridiculous nonsense that has nothing to do with the jobs program, nothing to do with environmentalism or reducing climate change, that at least the Green New Deal as envisioned in that particular piece of legislation is completely ridiculous. I would absolutely not support the Green New Deal under those terms. I do still believe a jobs program would be preferable to the freedom dividend that Andrew Yang is proposing. But I do appreciate the simplicity of Andrew Yang's proposal, and I do think that it is much better than our current welfare system that we have placed in the United States. It may come as a surprise to people who've listened to some of my other videos, but I am in fact a registered Democrat. And at this point, I am leaning towards voting for Andrew Yang in the Democratic primary. That being said, I find it pretty unlikely that I would vote for him against Donald Trump at this point. One of the other things that really bothered me was when Andrew Yang was asked about how he would address the opioid crisis, and he indicated that the crisis could be solved by legalizing heroin and fentanyl. I think that was a really bad take on his part. People who are opposed to drug prohibition a lot of times like to make the argument that when alcohol was prohibited, it did not successfully stop people from using alcohol. And I agree with that argument, but it seems what Andrew Yang is making is kind of a similar argument about the lifting of a drug prohibition. So for example, when we ended the prohibition of alcohol, it didn't end problems caused by alcohol. Even though alcohol became illegal, people would still drive under the influence. Alcoholism was still a problem. These things didn't go away just because it was legalized. And if Andrew Yang thinks that just legalizing heroin and fentanyl will just make all the problems of the opioid crisis just magically disappear, then he is deeply mistaken. The other problem is, if that's seriously his plan to deal with the opioid crisis, then he hasn't thought through the issue thoroughly enough. The president doesn't have the power to just reverse laws. It's the legislature, Congress, the House and the Senate, that actually can repeal or pass a law. Andrew Yang, even if he's elected president, can't magically snap his fingers and make heroin and fentanyl legal. And even if he managed to get the House and Senate to pass a bill that legalized heroin and fentanyl, which, good luck, I don't see that happening anytime soon, but assuming he amazingly pulled that off, he would still have to deal with the fact that in all 50 states, heroin and fentanyl are illegal. So he would also have to get the 50 state legislatures to also make those drugs legal. So that's why I don't support Andrew Yang in the general election. But right now, I don't see any better candidate than him in the Democratic primary. Unless something changes, right now he's the person I will probably vote for. I think by far the worst candidate to announce, on the other hand, is Bill de Blasio, who announced his candidacy this week. That guy is a joke. I lived in New York City when Michael Bloomberg was mayor, and not once did I ever feel unsafe. And I would ride the subway, and I've ridden the subway to all the different bureaus at all different types of days. And I always felt safe. I always felt that I was in an amazing place. And when I went back to New York City last year and saw what it has become, I was absolutely disgusted. I'm going to be honest with you. When I heard that Bill de Blasio was running, I laughed. In the news stories I've read over the last couple days, it seems like even the left-wing journalists hate him and view him as incompetent. And good riddance. I don't think he'll even make it to the first television debate, which is pretty pathetic because they have up to 20 slots. Andrew Yang, well, I hope he continues to be a popular candidate. If you like this video, please subscribe or leave a comment. I'm considering bringing back this YouTube channel and perhaps focusing less on just real specific criminal justice topics and more generally on politics, because I feel like that might be more interesting to a larger amount of people. So I'll see how this video does, but depending on the feedback I get, it'll depend on where I go with this channel. Thank you.